Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in the course of this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. I would also appreciate some comments that you may have regarding this video, or for that matter, any of the other videos in my channel. If you want to see my other paintings, you may do so in my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about how to paint a lighthouse. This happens to be the Bass Harbor lighthouse at the Acadia National Park. It's a beautiful area. Many years ago, I lived in New England and traveled throughout the area and took quite a few photographs. And so I'm doing this from one of those photographs. I'm going to be painting with some loose and watery techniques, as well as some control techniques, which are basically the hallmark of my painting style. That's the way that I like to paint. And you're gonna see how I paint rocks, you're gonna see how I paint trees, and there will be a little bit of water and then the lighthouse. So without much ado, let's just go ahead on with the fun part of this tutorial, and that is the painting part. So let me go ahead and get myself situated here. Get some paper towels. Here we go. And I'm going to start by adding some water to the sky area. This composition, because of the rocks and the configuration of the lighthouse and where it's located way up in this hill, it happens to be a diagonal composition, and I like that. It works fairly well for the way I paint, at least. Diagonal compositions are always good compositions. So I'm going to bring water all the way down to the edge there like that, and make sure that this area is quite a bit covered with the water, like that. And now what I'm going to do is with the paper towel, I'm going to pick up some of the moisture from some areas, like that. Now with the same brush, I'm going to bring in some manganese blue and some cobalt blue in some of these areas. Like that. Like this, also bring some over here. There'll be some white areas, it's area for clouds, something like that. Bring that all the way down to the horizon line. And also, I'm going to bring in some ultramarine with some burnt sienna. Make a gray and bring some of those colors over here, like that. Bring over here like this. Get some really nice looking sky. And in fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my round brush and do the same mixture of colors, a little darker this time, into some of these areas, like that. And now I'm going to bring more of the cobalt blue with the manganese and come over here like that. Get some darker areas. And then bring some water and smooth some of those areas like that. Leave a little bit of the crispness. Like that. Bring a little bit more of the water over here. Smooth out some of those areas, especially over here. Get rid of that. There we are. Same thing over here. And there. I'm going to bring a little bit more of the bronze sienna in some of these areas. There we are. And the manganese blue also. Get some of those gray areas in the sky. There we are. It's a little different sky. So now I'm going to bring in some water here, not too much, in some areas of the rocks. Like that. Then give them some yellow ochre. Like that. Some of those rocks coming up here also. A bit more of the yellow ochre. Base color for the rocks. Bring some burnt sienna. Leave some of the whites for the areas of the rocks that are in the sunlight, and the rest of the rocks will be in the shade. Bring some of those. I'm going to change brushes to a smaller flat brush. Bring more of that brown sienna, like that. Bring a little bit of the ultramarine into that mixture with the brown sienna, make a dark brown, like that. It's a nice color. Some colors for those rocks. Also gonna use my little pocket knife, and while this paper is damp, get some of the highlights on the rocks. Like that. Get a different brush, flat brush again. Get some more of that burnt sienna to this area over here. Like that. Clean my brush and bring some of the yellow ochre. Like I said, don't do away with some of the white areas. Now I'm going to change brushes again to this time with a round brush and bring more ultramarine blue into that mixture with the burnt sienna. And start adding a little bit more detail to these rocks. Some texture like that. The dark areas of some of these rocks. Bring some manganese blue into them also. Some areas, maybe not manganese, I'm going to bring a cobalt blue. That would be better. Like that. Some brown matter. That. And then with my pocket knife, get some texture on those rocks. Like that. There we go. Bring those colors, a bit more of those colors on some of these areas, some of the crevices in the rocks. More ultramarine with the brown matter. Like that. Get a little bit of texture in there. Get some of the darker rocks, kind of gray rocks also. Start working on the areas where the foaminess will be of the waves. There we are. Bring more burnt sienna. I'll go back to that later. For now, I'm going to bring more of the raw yellow ochre, actually, this time with burnt umber. So I'm bringing some of that burnt umber over here. Like that. And change brushes. And make a nice mixture of aureolin yellow with the cerulean blue and a little bit of raw sienna, and bring that green over here. Some of the grassy areas there. I'm going to go ahead and wet this area. And bring the same colors to this area. some over here on the other side of the rock. Over here, bring some undersea green. The mixture, kind of grays. Like that. Also, bring a little bit more of the aureolin yellow there. That. Bring in a little bit of ultramarine blue into that mixture, kind of tone down some of these colors, especially by the shadow side of this area, the grassy sections. Some of the raw sienna also. That. There we are. So now I'm going to get some undersea green with ultramarine blue and do some of these evergreens over here. This is dry, bordering that lighthouse. There we are. Like that. There. Almost that darkening. Then with the Payne's gray within the same mixture. A little bit of sepia. Oh, I'm going to use some burnt umber into that mixture. For the ones that are closer over here. There we are. Bring some of this a little higher. Different trees. Right at the base of that, like that. We'll also put some on the other side over here, maybe a little bit lighter, bordering the roof. Come over here and give that roof line some green also, and bring the same colors. And now I'm blocking that lighthouse building. Like that. A little bit of Payne's gray. Make this darker over here like that. Like that, there we go. Some undersea green with the Payne's gray. And darken this. Some branches over there like that. There we are. three areas pretty much done. We're gonna put some of the greens on this side. Down here too, like this. Coming some over here. Make some a little darker down below. And this area is pretty much done. Like that. And then we're gonna blend those areas at the bottom of those evergreens. There we are. There. And now I'm gonna get my flat brush, bring some water over here, get some cobalt blue, and a little bit of ultramarine blue, and come down over here and do that water, leaving some white areas. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some water over here where these rocks are to show that some of that splashing of the foam from the waves. There, like that. This over here, a little darker. There, not too much like that. And that's about it for the water. I'm going to straighten this. There. In the distance, there's a piece of land there that I'm going to make it a little bit lighter grayish green. Right to the edge of the water there, like that. Bring some brown there too. There. And that's it for that. So now we'll tackle the lighthouse. All of this is dry. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water here. I'm going to bring a little bit of the green reflective color into this white. Bring it there. I'm going to bring in a little bit of manganese blue into this area. A little bit of cobalt blue. I'm going to bring in some burnt sienna, clean burnt sienna. There we are. There. We'll let that all dry. I'm going to add a little bit of water here. And bring the similar colors to this lighthouse. There. There, like that. Bring some of that blue over here too. There. In fact, I'm going to increase the value of that color bring some ultramarine blue. There. I'm gonna clean my brush and bring some burnt sienna, clean color. There, like that. There. Do a little bit of that color over here. There, like that. A little bit on this side. And soften that edge. There we are. Now, I think I'm gonna have to darken some of those edges. There's a little bit of a detail. Get some burnt sienna and the ultramarine blue, kind of a gray color. There. It's almost dry. There, like that. Get the section of roof there. There we are, like that. Then, and I'm gonna do the small brush. I will get some sepia and ultramarine and do these windows. There's 3 windows there. This is still kind of wet, I'm gonna wait. But while I'm waiting, I'm gonna do this little detail. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little window there. I think this is dry enough. Yep, it's dry. And do this window. There we are. Some details of some stonework over here. Same over here. Like that there. And now with that black, almost black color, we'll do the rest of the lighthouse. There. Just a little bit of a black over here. There we are. And I will give the glass section a light, whatever is inside there, like that. And there's some railing. And there's a little window over here and a little window over here. And that lighthouse is pretty much done, except that I'm gonna bring some of this blue from the sky and do a little bit of that. There we are. Okay, I'm gonna darken some of these windows. This window needs to be a little darker. There we are. A little detail there. And I'll bring some of that color over here on those evergreens. Now take my flat brush, bring some of the yellow ochre and this green that I have in my palette and darken some of these areas. Break it down a little bit. There, like that. Now, get my flat brush, a little bit more yellow ochre and burnt sienna, and these rocks that are over here. Like that. And some of the ultramarine into that mixture. With the brown matter. Get that gray like this over here. And now get some of the burnt umber by itself. Add some of that burnt umber over here. A little bit of the burnt umber over here. Leave some of the white, like that. Burnt umber, I'm going to bring some, at least one crimson into that with burnt ultramarine blue. And do some of the darker rocks over here. There we are. And get my pocket knife. There we do some of that scratching. Same thing over here. There. And that's pretty much it. The last thing that I'm going to do here is a little bit more yellow ochre to some of these rocky areas. Also get some of the rose matter and add some of that rose matter in some areas, not too much. There, like that. And the cobalt blue by itself. There, like here, some areas. Lastly, I'm going to bring a little bit more of the rose matter over that cobalt blue. There we are. And the painting is done. So I'm going to remove this. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit more detail to some of these tree areas. Some of these evergreens. Some evergreens over here. Like that. And that's it. So I'm going to remove this tape. I'm going to put this on a darker background so you can see and be able to appreciate it. And over here, remove this other piece of tape. And here comes the dartboard. I will minimize this So you can see, and keep that dartboard there in place. And there it is, Bass Harbor Lighthouse at the Acadia National Park. Beautiful location. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please visit my website at aafinearts.com, where you will see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. Until the next time.